I've been all over the map, and partly because the information has been all over the map. There have been moments when I thought he's definitely going to stay at Ole Miss. There's been moments that I have been told he's definitely going to Florida. And now there's been moments that I've been told he's definitely going to LSU. That's kind of where the information stands. Pretty reliable that LSU is the front runner. And obviously this is coming to a head because they're announcing like when the decision is going to be made and the announcement. It's after the Egg Bowl. So this is becoming, and I mentioned this weeks ago. I said, this is going to become a distraction. Lo and behold, it has. And this is not a knock against Lane because Lane is in a tough position. But it's also not going to be a defensive Lane because regardless of the position you're in, you still have control and agency over your own decisions. So before we get into like this, I thought I would just quickly recap. Nick Saban had a really good, and you can go check it out on social media, kind of comment about the situation that we're in and the predicament that Lane finds himself in that is frustrating, I'm sure, for him and for everybody involved. And that is that the structure of our sport is in a lot of ways broken and certainly not suited to allow people to make decisions that are best for all parties. We don't have that. So what Nick Saban was saying on game day was absolutely correct. It's like, and granted, I don't know if it was a defensive Lane or if it was just I think it came more out of the vein of he's frustrated by the calendar in college football. I'm sure he has a lot of frustrations about some of the things that he feels like are broken in college football, and the calendar is one of them. And here's what's broken, is that we are trying to build rosters through early signing day and early December, season's still going on. In fact, it's conference championship game week, which is like so dumb. Then we're going to have the transfer portal open up when some teams are still trying to play in the playoffs. Now, we tried to, quote, fix it with a Band-Aid over a bullet wound by moving the transfer portal from December to January. But they didn't fix it. And it's just part and parcel to the frustrations that a lot of us have with the people in college football that make decisions and it's not even an individual because it's always some giant committee and these coaches have their say and these ADs have their say and so on and so forth. But the calendar is broken. And so here we have programs trying to hire their next coach, and they feel like they need their coach in order to build the roster because the roster building is taking place starting the first week of December. But the season doesn't end until potentially January 20th. Well, that's broken. Clearly, guys, we have been seeing this train come down the tracks for some sort of incident like this for a long time. We've all known that this was broken. Bo Prabula had to make this decision. Preston Stone had to make this decision where they were players last year in the expanded college football playoff. And the portal opened up and they had to transfer. Now, some of them were saying, I'm going to transfer. I'm going to stay with my team. Others said, well, I'm going to transfer and have to leave now. I mean, it was a mess. It was a mess because we were forcing players and in some cases coaches, but mostly players to make these decisions that they shouldn't have to make because those two things should never coexist. We should never be in a position where roster building and competition coexist. That's the dumbest thing in America. And Saban made an excellent point. In the National Football League, there are specific times when you can and can't talk with a coach. If you're an organization trying to hire a coach, even if you fired your coach, there are times that are specific to when you can talk to players to try to get them and recruit them towards your franchise, whether it's in the draft process and or in free agency. Well, now we have essentially the same thing in high school recruiting. You can call that the draft process, even though that's a recruiting thing. And then you have free agency, which is called the transfer portal. There is no reason, none, absolutely no reason why we should have the competition of the season coexist with roster building. It's asinine. It's crazy. And we need to change that. And I think Nick Saban was saying that on Saturday on game day, and that's exactly what I would say right here. And I will tell you, I can fix it in 30 seconds. You don't need to lament it for 10 minutes or 15 minutes. We don't need a committee. We don't need a subcommittee. We don't need to talk about it over 5 different meetings. I don't need 18 Zooms. Here's how you do it. Finish the football season, then sign your high school players, then open the transfer portal. Period. It is not that difficult. Not that difficult. Move the championship game as close to January 1st as you possibly can. Why not? Don't give me this crap about we've got to protect finals in December with the players that are playing in the playoffs. Like, give me a break. Give me a break. Now that we pay these guys a lot of NIL, a lot of them never even take on-campus classes to begin with. They're all online. That is a farce and an excuse. We need to move the championship game as close to January 1st as possible. Stop trying to protect all these bowl games. That's all they're trying to do is protect bowl games and contracts. And it's like, well, fix that. Fix it. Then let's not sign high school players till at least January, maybe even February, like it used to be. It used to be better than this. And I wouldn't open the transfer portal until April. They debated January or April, and a few coaches pounded the table for January, like a bunch of whatever. And it should have been April. But finishing the season before roster building is how you fix this. And these rules about when you can talk to coaches and when you can't talk to coaches, that would obviously help as well. So now we start thinking about this specific situation with Lane. Is the calendar broken? Yes. And are there consequences to the decisions that you make? Yes. You see, the two can be true at the same time. And that's life. And there are a lot of times in life for all of us that we are asked to make tough decisions. And they're not always the most comfortable decisions. They're not always the decisions that we want to make, but they're the decisions that we have to make. And I firmly believe this is one of those cases. Football is hard. It's really hard. I loved it. My dad was a football coach for 30 years at the high school level. I loved playing it. Part of what I loved about it was it really is the quintessential team game. And you're asked to be selfless, and you're asked to play a role, and you're asked to do that by a coach. And that coach is essentially asking you to lay down yourself for the benefit of the group. And the teams that do that the best typically win. And that's why it's a great sport. You got to do your job. You got to work hard all year round. You got to care about your teammates. You got to hold them accountable. They have to hold you accountable. It's a great environment. I miss it. I love it. I absolutely love it. And the person setting that standard is always the head coach. And that head coach, his ability to get players to buy into that type of culture is directly tied to his credibility and how much his players trust him. And I know that college football has gone more transactional than when I played, and I understand that. And so I don't want to sit here and lament like, well, back in the day. No, that's not how it is. Because it's even this way in the NFL. And those guys are getting paid, and they can leave when they're free agents. And yet, typically, the best teams are the teams that the guys understand their roles, and they lay down themselves for the group, for the benefit of the group. That doesn't mean that some don't become stars. Of course they do. It's football. We're gonna shine lights on the people that are excelling. But the coach is the one that's trying to set that culture, and his credibility is paramount. And the trust that the players have in him is paramount. And here's all I would say is that your credibility is your currency as a coach. How does Lane Kiffin leave Ole Miss in the middle of a playoff run and have any credibility at his next place? I don't think that he would. I don't think that he would. And so we can sit here and lament the calendar and realize that, like, hey, man, this is not a great position for Lane to be in. I totally agree with that. But it's also still up to him. And, if you say yes to everything, how can you be committed to anything? I don't think he has to go anywhere to find success. This is not like it used to be. You see, it used to be like LSU would come open and you're like, I got to go there if I want to win at the top end. But guess what? The proof that you don't have to do that is Lane at Ole Miss. He is the proof that you don't have to do that. He is winning at the top end at Ole Miss. He doesn't have to leave. Curt Cignetti is proving that at Indiana. He's number 2 in the country. Number 2. Could win a national championship this year. Joey McGuire is proving that at Texas Tech. You don't have to go there. You can win in this era, in the modern era of college football. The fit is more important than the logo on your hat, because you can win if you've got the support, which they do at Ole Miss. This is not a money, thing. And maybe is his family definitely going to be happier in one of those other 2 places? I mean, is the grass really that greener? I don't know. I don't know. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and say like he can't do it or this or that. I'm trying to stop as close as I can to that. But I am concerned for what that would mean for college football, because this would be like a car accident of epic proportions. If he were to leave and then not coach the CFP, he is destroying the Ole Miss football team. Those kids committed to him as much as they did committed to Ole Miss. Then they committed to each other to achieve something great. They will not excel in the playoffs without him as their play caller. And if he leaves them, it's not just the calendar's fault, because he has agency. He has agency, and he doesn't have to leave. So I would just say, like, your credibility as a coach is everything, and your credibility is tied to your character. And the biggest threat to your credibility in life, all of us, is ourselves. Thank you for watching the Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel. And if you liked this clip, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel, and you can stay up to date on all of my college football coverage.